Well, hello! Mwah, mwah, mwah! Welcome to the Magical Mystery School, and thank you so much for coming back to Astrology Class 36. Whee! All right. Okay, so we've done the basics. We've done if you want to check out the playlists, there'll be a little thing you can tap on at the end of this video or down in the description box, or go to my icon and go to my channel. You can find the playlist, but please do. You can start at lesson 1 and get all caught up, because now we're sort of in advanced beginners, I would say. I'm really wanting you to know just a kind of what the vocabulary and some of the terms are used in astrology. So I'm kind of going over that kind of thing. That you'll hear from astrologers, some of these wonderful astrologers on YouTube. So what we're going to go over today, and be sure to like and subscribe. Give me a comment, even if it's just a little emoji. All that kind of stuff helps the channel a lot. So today what we're going to talk about are progressed charts. So I think that there's two kinds of progressed charts. There's secondary progressions, and then there's solar arc progressions. And you might want to just write this down for now, is that for the secondary progressed chart, it's a degree, it's a day for a year. For the solar arc, it's a degree for a day, for a year, excuse me. So let me just say that again. Secondary progressions, a day for a year. Solar arc is a degree for a year. I want to make sure I say that right. Okay, and they are really powerful. I'll never forget the first reading I ever had 1,000 billion years ago. The gal says like, oh, you broke your arm when you're 11. You know, this happened, that happened. And after I learned astrology, she told me, yeah, that's all from your progressions. You know, that she was able to pick up all that stuff from the progressed moon, and specifically. So anyway, I'm going to put you on pause for a second. Okay, so of course you can get progressed charts on the computer, or off the internet, or if you get your own program someday. But to see what they are, let's use the old-fashioned way to look these up. And you may want to get an ephemeris someday. Now this is, you can see it's from 2001 to 2050, and it's got an ephemeris. It has all for every day of the year. Let's see, hopefully I can get a little focus here. Come on. Okay, so, for every month, and they've got every single day, and all the placement of all the planets, etc. And, where they change signs, and all sorts of things like that, and go retrograde and direct. And the other nice thing about the ephemeris is that if you know somebody's birthday, you can look them up right quick and find out where their Venus and Mars are and things like that. And here's my old one from 1900 to 2000. And you can see how much I've used this and loved this book anyway. So those are out there. I'm not sure if I'll need a 50 to 3,000 to 2,100, but maybe. I'm going to use this ephemeris though, because it's out of that Llewellyn calendar I've showed you in the past. This just comes in the back, just so it's a little bit easier for me to hold more than anything. And this is from 2020, the ephemeris table. So every calendar always has that. Let's see how I can stay in focus here. Good. All right. So what a progression means, and when I said a day for a year, so let's say you've got a little baby that's born in, February 2nd, 2020. So there we can just glance across and we can see where all his planets are, his moon sign, sun, everything like that. So the progression means every year we're going to progress this chart. So like when this little baby's 8 years old, his sun now is going to be 19 degrees, I believe. When he started out at 12, okay? So you're not going to get a lot of motion out of these later planets, the outer planets, because they move so slow. But the moon, it, changes signs every 2.5 days. So every 2.5 years, it's going to change signs. So the progressed moon does move pretty quick. And like I said, it can give you some pretty awesome timing on events and that sort of thing. Okay, so I'm going to put you on pause again. Now for the solar arc progressed chart, it's a little different. Remember I said it was a degree a year. So, but what we're going to do is, say you're born with Sun in Taurus and Moon in Gemini, very close together there. For the solar arc, we're just going to move the whole chart 1 degree every year. So these, let's say they were 30 degrees apart, they're going to always stay 30 degrees apart throughout the whole cycle. Whereas, remember with the progressed, the sun's going to be moving a degree a day. So that's kind of interesting too. The progressed sun and the solar arc sun are always the same. The progressed moon's going to be moving a lot faster, so it's going to actually change aspects to different planets throughout your life, basically. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to mention those two things. You may be sitting there scratching your head at this point, but if you really get into astrology, someday somebody's going to come up to you and they're going to say, "Oh, so my progressed moon is in Capricorn, what's your progressed moon?" And at least you'll know what they're talking about. Okay, another thing I wanted to mention, especially now that we're looking at the wheel, is there's this thing called decans, which can give you more insight into how to describe your planet, any of your planets. Now, what this is going to do, and so just to remind you, everybody, I'm sure by this point you all know that there's 30 degrees in every sign, right? So what the decans are is when we just divide this 30 degrees up into 10-degree segments. And what we're going to do is everyone who's born in that first 10 degrees of any sign is going to be like an Aries, Aries, a Taurus, Taurus, a Gemini, Gemini. But what we're going to do is we're going to give the second group from 10 degrees to actually 19 degrees and 59 minutes. But I'm just going to say 10 to 20. Same thing here. The third group is actually 20 degrees to 29 degrees and 59 minutes. But I'm just going to say to 30 or to 0. I kind of hate saying 30 because that's wrong. Anyway, so... but what we're going to do is we're going to use this same pattern, and hopefully you guys are starting to realize astrology is just patterns and patterns and more patterns. And remember this from way back when we were talking about, here's all the signs, the houses each sign rules, the elements, fire, earth, air, water, fire, earth, air, water. So there's that pattern. And feel free to take a screenshot of this. And then for the modalities or qualities, it's called cardinal fixed mutable, cardinal fixed mutable, cardinal fixed mutable, right? And just to remind you, and these are the rulers of each one of those signs. But we're going to be focused on this cardinal fixed mutable pattern. So the decans are based on that pattern. So Aries is a cardinal sign, right? Cardinal fire. So that first 10 degrees is Aries, Aries. The second 10 degrees, cardinal fixed fire, is going to be, that person's going to be Aries, or whatever planets you're looking at. They're going to be an Aries, but with a flare of Leo in it. If you're looking at the third segment, 20 to 29 and 59, that's cardinal, fixed, mutable. So we go around, oh, there's the mutable fire sign, Sagittarius. So the last 10 degrees of Aries is still Aries always, but it's going to have a flare of Sag to it. Now let's go over Taurus, because that's a fixed earth sign. So the first 10 degrees is going to be Taurus, fixed to earth. But the second, now we're going to go fixed, mutable, cardinal, right? Because the cardinal, fixed, mutable, but we're starting with fixed. So the second one is going to be the mutable. So we go around, earth mutable is Virgo. So any planet that's in that first 10 degree or second 10 degrees of Taurus, yes, they're always still a Taurus, but they're going to have a flare of Virgo. And then, so it's fixed, mutable, cardinal, and there's Capricorn, our cardinal earth. And that's going to be, so Taurus with just a little bit of Capricorn thrown in there. Now let's do one more. Let's do Pisces, because it's starting with a mutable sign, and it's water. So the first 10 degrees is going to be Pisces, Pisces, Pisces. And then the second 10 degrees, can you guess what? So if this is mutable, we're going to start with cardinal. So we're going to look for cardinal water. And sure enough, there's Cancer. So that second grouping of Pisces from 10 to 1959, 10 to 20, is going to be Pisces with a little flare of Cancer. And then 20 to 0 degrees Aries is going to be Pisces always, but mutable, cardinal, fixed water. Can you guess? Can you remember? Scorpio. So here we're going to have a Pisces with a little bit of bite to them. All right. Okay, so that's the decans. And what's kind of fun about them, too, with the sun sign, you can actually, when that sun goes into each sign, so for example, we'll go back here to Pisces. Let's just say the sun goes into Pisces around February 20th, right? Something like that. So you can literally, because the sun moves a degree a day, so you can literally count, the first 10 days are going to be Pisces, the second 10 days are going to be Pisces with some Cancer thrown in, and then the last 10 days of the sign, if you're talking about just the sun, are going to be Pisces with a little bit of Scorpio. Okay. All right. So I think we're doing good. I just want to mention one more thing since we're looking here at the wheel. I want to remind you guys, and I'm sure we've talked about this before, but when the sun goes into, I want to just remind you about the seasons. When the sun goes into Aries, that's the first day of spring, or the vernal equinox. Equinox, equal day of light, or equal day of light and dark. Of course, and that's the same for down under, but they're going to be calling it the fall equinox. And then when the sun goes into, and these are the cardinal signs, when the sun goes into Cancer, that's going to be the summer solstice, longest day of the year, or if you're in the southern hemisphere, winter solstice, shortest day. And then we're going to come up to Libra, fall, or fall equinox, so equal time of light and dark. And then up to the sun going into Capricorn, which is going to be the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere, the darkest beginning of winter, shortest day of the year. Okay, so I think that'll conclude for this class. And next time we're going to talk about dignities. My goodness, what in the heck are those? Okay, so just remember, everybody, from here to there, from there to here, funny things are everywhere. Be sure to like and subscribe. Bye.